Hello, everyone, this is the Developing China. Welcome to our channel. In this channel, we can learn about the latest news and information about China. As we all know, China is growing into a strong country. The changes of China are the hot issues in public eyes. So we want to take you to feel about these changes. That's the reason why our channel exists. Okay, let's move on to today's topic. After many years of hard work, my country has finally reached the peak of chip research and development. However, due to the revision of the rules by the United States, another obstacle has been set up for my country's semiconductor development. This obstacle is chip production. In terms of chip production, although TSMC is forced by American rules restrictions, unable to OEM for our country. However, Chinese companies are not without chip foundry leaders. This company is SMIC. SMIC is one of the top 5 chip manufacturers in the world, with strong mature and advanced chip foundry capabilities. In a market environment where the world is in a shortage of chips, SMIC seized market opportunities, increased production capacity, won many important orders, and achieved great results in both revenue and net profit. In addition, SMIC is also increasing capital expenditures to deploy the market with a scale of 31.7 billion yuan. What correct choices have SMIC made to achieve such achievements? How does SMIC, which has made great achievements, move forward steadily? Can SMIC's path promote the rise of China's chips? Can Chinese enterprises follow the model of SMIC? SMIC's performance report is released. On the evening of March 30th, SMIC released its audited 2021 annual performance report on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Overall, for the whole year of last year, SMIC's revenue reached 35.63 billion yuan, a year-on-year increase of 39.3%. The profit reached 10.73 billion yuan, a year-on-year increase of 147.7%. This revenue result is actually the best result SMIC has achieved since its establishment. The reason why SMIC's revenue exploded like this last year was mainly because of the increase in the number of wafers sold by SMIC and the average selling price last year. Up and product mix changes. Such revenue results are indeed good news for SMIC, proving that SMIC is on the right track. Regarding production expansion, what choice has SMIC made? The lack of cores in the market reflects many problems and makes chipmakers understand the importance of capacity. Although the lack of cores is caused by many factors, the best solution to the shortage of supply is to increase the supply level and accelerate the demand for the market. SMIC has not fallen behind and has made the same choice as the major chip manufacturers to step up production expansion. So what choice has SMIC made in terms of production expansion? In addition to the existing factory projects, SMIC is also building chip projects in the 3 first-tier cities of Shanghai, Shenzhen, and Beijing, and respectively benchmarking the 28 nanometers process and increasing the production capacity for 12-inch wafers. According to Zhao Haijun, the joint CEO of SMIC, if the 3 projects are fully operational, the total production capacity of SMIC will double. This shows how important SMIC's factory project is now, and it is related to whether it can meet the huge demand in the future. Especially with mature technology, SMIC has exerted its advantages in this field, and has enough confidence to compare with any other company in the world in similar products. In addition to making the right choice to actively expand production capacity, SMIC also made the right choice in terms of supplying domestic demand. According to data released by SMIC, net profit in 2021 will reach $1.702 billion, a year-on-year increase of 137.8%, while revenue in the same period will be $5.443 billion, a year-on-year increase of 39.3%. It can be seen that SMIC's market performance last year, both in terms of revenue and net profit, rose sharply year-on-year. So what does this have to do with domestic supply and demand? Because most of SMIC's revenue and profits come from the mainland. Data released by SMIC further showed that revenue from the mainland and Hong Kong accounted for 64% of the total revenue. Such a proportion of revenue contribution not only shows that SMIC's market focus is on the mainland market, but also actively meets the needs of the mainland market. After all, China is the largest chip consumer in the world. It cannot rely solely on foreign companies to build factories in the mainland to manufacture chips or import them to meet demand. It also requires local chip manufacturers to support them. On the whole, SMIC has made the right choice regarding the expansion of production and the supply of domestic demand. The purpose of expanding production is to master the ability to cope with market changes. With factories in hand, as long as there is a need, we can do it at any time. Even if domestic demand slows down, it can increase its export efforts, earn revenue, and accumulate strength. In terms of supplying domestic demand, the greater the supply of SMIC to the country, the more beneficial it will be to improve the self-sufficiency rate of domestic chips. SMIC has made great achievements. How to move forward steadily. All of SMIC's performance exceeded expectations, and it even made people forget that this Chinese company was also focused on by the United States. Fortunately, everything is developing in a positive direction, so after SMIC has made great achievements, how should it move forward steadily? Combined with market demand and SMIC's own situation, it may be better to increase production capacity and control talents. The first is to tighten production capacity. The domestic chip consumer market still has a large amount of chip imports. Last year, it imported $432.55 billion, a year-on-year increase of 23.6%. In addition to imported high-end processed chips, components, and integrated circuits such as processors with mature processes can actually be produced in China. With the advantages of the huge domestic supply chain, it is not difficult to realize this part of the chip production. It's just the reason for the limited production capacity, which needs to be solved by importing. Therefore, in the case of the 70% chip self-sufficiency rate target set by my country, it needs to be solved by stepping up production capacity to a large extent. SMIC is the largest chip manufacturer in mainland China. As the saying goes, the greater the capability, the greater the responsibility. This part of the burden cannot be let go. The second is the control of talents. Chip manufacturing requires a large number of talents to provide research and production support. With talents, no matter how big the problem is, there is hope to overcome it. At present, SMIC can stably mass-produce 14 nanometers process chips, and further research on 7 nanometers has also been carried out. Regardless of the progress of the research, it is just that SMIC needs to pay more attention to controlling talents. Because SMIC has frequently heard news of senior executives leaving within a year or so. Fortunately, SMIC has enough sincerity to keep Liang Mingsong, who wanted to leave, but other former SMIC Technology R&D Vice President Wu Jingang, Independent Director Yang Guanglei, Vice Chairman Zhang Shangyi and Executive Director Zhou Zixue, etc. announced his resignation. Although it is normal for a company to have personnel changes, SMIC needs to control talents at the critical moment of increasing production capacity. All in all, when we are looking back and looking forward to SMIC's past and future, in fact, everything is maintaining a good trajectory. SMIC plans to set a capital expenditure of 31.7 billion yuan, which will probably land this year. In addition, SMIC has made the right choice for expanding production and supplying domestic demand. But there is still a long way to go. I hope that SMIC can achieve better results, do a good job in talent control, and live up to its expectations. Let us hope that SMIC will continue to make persistent efforts in the future, and strive to lead China's core to rise as soon as possible. Thanks for watching our video. If you love our videos, please share them with your friends.